Raanan is fat and he's a Jew. He'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.
We are back with another episode of Your Favorite Movie Sucks, the podcast where I don't have a log line for this. I was acting like I had a log line already. No, I mean, I guess there is. There's a podcast where I watch your favorite movie and tell you why it sucks. Today we have someone who's been very hard to get on, which has made extra upsetting that you're not successful.
Yeah, because this might be your least watched episode.
Yeah.
And I was a tough
You
guy.
were the white whale. I've gotten.
You've only got I think two no's.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, like, I've had some big, no, not big, but I've had some day, but it's been very hard to get you on. Shaun Murphy.
Yeah.
But I like that, playing hard to get. I'm like, maybe he's doing better than I thought.
No, not. Do you think this will be your least watched episode?
No. I think,
Okay.
well, we're mixing stuff up today.
Okay.
Because so I think that might help. Like, usually I watch your favorite movie and we analyze it, but I want to do something different this time because there's a lot of, we always talk about new movies, and I want to talk about some new movies. We're here to talk about two movies that are the big, in my opinion, the big movies of the summer.
Okay.
You know?
You think the two best movies of the summer?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I think one of them is. Well, let's start. Let's start with Weapons,
Okay.
and then we'll get to Edington. Okay, because my feelings on Edington are like very complex. I mean, so is Weapons exactly, but we'll start with Weapons. Now, you saw it. When did you see Weapons?
Like a week ago, give or take.
And what was your experience watching it?
Well, I feel like I'm gonna get it from you, but I liked it. I thought it was great. I think it's a movie that. Movies that I really like are movies that work in the moment. Like, you could take a group of people to see it, and for the most part, they're all going to be like, that was great. But you could also, like, talk about it and I think get more out of it. You know, there are movies that, like, you know, talking about the Superman thing, which might have been cut out if people are listening to this. But there are some things that are, like, too subtle, and there are things that, like, not subtle enough. So sometimes I don't mind when something's just like, this is our theme. People are dumb. We're going to go for it. We're going to hit you over the head a little bit. Sometimes I don't mind that. And because there are sometimes movies, and we'll get into this with Edington, that it's like so unclear to me that I feel like it's like pick a lane almost.
Yeah.
And Weapons has a little bit of that, but it's so entertaining. I think it works so much just as a movie.
Right.
And then I think there's a lot to dive into that I do think it could hit a little harder, to be honest.
Yeah.
With me, but I do think it's in there.
So you like that kind of instant gratification of
Yes.
it, and that does make for. There's certain movies that make for a good communal experience. There's certain movies where you watch with friends and you're like, oh no, this is a good movie, but like it's not good for a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and Edington is a movie you could recommend to 10 of your friends. You know, like 3 are going to be like, hey, man, what the fuck did you do to me? Like 3 are going to like it, and, you know, the other ones are going to think it's okay. Like, it's a very divisive movie, probably almost on purpose.
Edington.
Yeah,
Edington. But Weapons.
Well, Weapons is like a hit.
Crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
They're actually kind of, that is interesting. One is a crowd pleaser, and one is a crowd upsetter. You know?
Yes, yes.
So,
And we can appreciate both. There are like comedians to the back of the room that we like, and there are comedians that kill that go like, you got to give it to them that they kill. You know,
right.
That is the job.
That is so. But is that some level of what you think of as Weapons, where it's like you're like it's a comedian who I'm like I'm not in love with the jokes, but I respect how much they crushed.
A little bit, but more like I like it all around.
I'm
like selling
it all
that
around.
almost to you a little bit
No
because
notes.
I
right.
But I would say I'm almost no notes. I mean, I'm not. There are some things like I'm not always a big dream guy. Dream scene person. But
it's definitely thinking horror movies where it's like, how do we get some more scares in there?
Some
We'll
scares
just
in
add
there.
a couple dreams.
Yeah. But I think. I just had a great time with it.
Yeah. No, I do think it was very fun, and it was like very enjoyable, and it is a big hit. Like I actually struggled to find. Me and my friends went, and we couldn't find a lot of shows where we could get tickets for. It was like crazy. It's like either a movie no one is there, or or like a rare occurrence, you struggle to find like
That's
seats.
why, on a side note, I've been seeing a lot of movies when I can in the Lincoln Square, the like 70 millimeter.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because it's really the only time anymore you see movies with people.
Yeah.
And it's like really, you're like, oh yeah, this is why I like movies as a kid. You'd go,
Right.
I remember as a kid.
It's full a lot?
It's full, yeah. Because it's like the cool theater. It's like the biggest
This is
screen
the one
in North
in
America.
like Lincoln, like near like Lincoln Center?
Yeah. AMC Lincoln Square. Yeah.
See, I do like that theater a lot, but I have been so burned by people talking movies that I'm almost only go to Alamo now, just because I don't even that theater.
But,
I saw Banshees of Inisherin and the three old women like ruin the ending.
Okay, but here's the twist of if you're going to that theater specifically, the big screen.
Yeah,
people are so keyed into that you get less talking.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah.
But it makes me feel like when I was a kid, I remember going to see Independence Day, and it was just sold out, which is a thing that could happen. And my parents were like, "Well, I guess we'll see Phenomenon." So we saw Phenomenon with John Travolta, and that's like because that was a thing that would happen.
I know, it's crazy.
And
it was
now
with Weapons. It was so weird to have that deal. Yeah, it never happened. It's usually like Nicole Kidman thanking people for going to the theater, but it's just me in there alone. It's just Nicole Kidman talking to me.
And isn't it crazy that before, because I have AMC A-list, so I see everything on AMC, but before Nicole Kidman, there's just another commercial for AMC.
Yeah.
They do two commercials to you're already there.
I mean, every movie theater experience feels like they're trying to get you to leave. They're like trying to be like, it's like playing a game of chicken with the audience. Let's see how much they want to see this movie. We'll put not just previews, but we'll put TV commercials. We'll put commercials for Xbox.
They added more commercials now.
It's 30 minutes. It literally is 30 minutes. By the time the movie starts, you're like, I don't even know what movie I came to see. I don't even really remember my name. I'm just like lost in this haze. And I'm just like, where am I? Who am I? I don't even know why I'm here. It's like Memento. And meanwhile, the people upstairs in the movie world are like, why aren't people coming to the theater?
Well,
what can we do?
That's what I think. I love movies, but you go to the experience and someone's on their phone, someone's talking. There's 30 minutes before the movie starts.
There's a reason.
And then you're just hoping the movie's good.
Yeah.
If the movie's just average or shit,
right?
Then like what a waste of time and money.
Such a waste. And like 30 minutes is insane. That's like insane.
Yeah.
Like no other thing. Like when you go to like the opera, there's not like 30 minutes of them like reading off names of people. It's
go to see a stand-up show.
Yeah.
You know, like
there's not like a 30-minute like just blooper reel beforehand. I mean, it's like it's so crazy, and it's such short-term. Like obviously they have to sell to make more. They're in a loop where to make money they have to add commercials.
Yes.
But that just makes less people go.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it's a totally awful experience. But I like Weapons. I like seeing it at Alamo. I will say.
Yeah, give me your faults here.
Are you not? All right, spoilers ahead. But are you not disappointed by the witch explanation? I feel like everyone's in denial that that's really gay. That it's really stupid.
Well, but most horror movies have like what do you? I mean, like, normally it's like an occult or there's always just something.
But
genre-y.
it's handled. It's not like explained fully in the middle, and then you're from the witch's perspective. To me, that ruins. Like I thought the first half was so good and so creepy. To me, the movie felt like I texted this to you. It felt like a twist on the elevated horror where you're like. They make you think it's elevated horror, and then the twist is it's really stupid. Like that's like the twist. They're like, "Ooh, this is gonna be about stuff," and like, no, it's just a witch.
But don't you think all of them end up being like cult, or an occult, or the devil, or like it all ends up being that?
It does. Well,
like so, what about this makes it annoying? Is
okay?
It
So honestly, there's not. This is just me. There's not any disappointment on your hand.
No.
Like in the beginning, when those kids are like creepily like running away from their houses,
right.
And it's like a really haunting thing. If I were sitting next to you and I were to turn to you and be like, "The answer is a witch,"
I would be like, "Yeah, probably."
Really?
Yeah. I mean, what else? What else were you thinking it would be? Was it like the government? Like of course it's gonna be something like that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it does have to be supernatural, but I guess they could have handled it better or made it about something where it's like, I don't know, I can't, it's hard to explain the feeling, but like when there's such a creepy hauntiness to the opening, it's like a mystery, and it's so good. I mean, that opening mystery is so fucking good to the point where it's kind of like Lost, where you're like, they're not going to be able to like, there might not be any answer to satisfy how good of a premise it is, because the premise is amazing. These kids just disappear, and the way they have like the ring, like the security camera footage, it feels so modern, but also like,
which is you don't see a lot of anymore, because it's tough to deal with all the modernness of society. So a lot of horror movies, they're in the past.
Because cell phones kind of ruin everything.
And technology,
you just call the police.
And
it's over.
So that was also, cool. And I think it had to be set now because it's such a allegory about, like, gun violence.
Well, some people think it is. I don't think it's about anything.
Well,
I think it's bullshit. I think it's just, like, not about anything.
Because I agree those points could have been, again, hit harder, but I think I think it clearly is.
I mean, it definitely hints at that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really follow through in any way.
See, and that, I could see that critique.
Well, that is my, like...
Which is fair, but I think there's enough in there to get someone there.
I think there's a difference between, like, delving into a theme and just, like, hinting at something that you're not hinting at it enough that people kind of maybe project something onto it, but you haven't really followed it through in any way, because it's not followed through.
It's so tough to get, like, the slider right, because if you go too much, it becomes like lame and obvious and like a polemic and like very, but like if it's not enough, it's kind of like, well, is there anything here? Why didn't and that's different for everyone.
But like to say school shooting is like, it's called Weapons. These kids in a class disappear.
There's the dream with the gun.
There's the dream with the gun. But the witch kind of doesn't really. I don't see how the witch explanation follows through with that.
I think the very ending, which I think hits hard, is because in a normal movie, in a crowd-pleasing movie, which this is, the curse would be broken, kids would be hugging with their parents, and then you kind of end it.
Right.
But that is not the ending.
Right.
The ending is like, these kids are fucked up. It's like,
and they're traumatized, and this anger at adults for...
They're traumatized, and some of them are never going to get there. You know?
Right.
So even if we, like, save these, like, they're fucked. I mean, the last image is Brolin holding his comatose kid, while another kid basically says, like, most of these kids are fucked. Like, I mean, I
think... Do you think it was hinting that was one of the kids? Because it says, at the end, she says...
Well, I don't know that, but it is just a kid. There's a reason that a kid is narrating.
Well, she does say at the end, like, some of them started learning how to speak again, which I always thought was a hint that she was one of the kids, maybe.
It could be, yeah. I don't know if I have a strong theory either way.
I get that, and I get there's this anger at adults, this revenge of the kids for being treated as weapons, I guess.
Yeah,
because the kids are
weapons. The
weapons.
Villain is a boomer sucking the life out of children, and and even the Josh Brolin character is very much the like very typical like almost like that type of movie of like, I'm gonna save my kid, these kids are being trafficked, and then like at the end he's too late because all the stuff we could have done for these kids we should have done years ago.
But I guess my thing is the witch explanation kind of it feels so separate from anything within that culture. It feels like its own like entity and not like the truth is like the parents aren't to blame for anything in this movie. Like it is a witch who is like a whole other entity coming.
Well,
no one in the world, like in Hereditary or something, you see like the psychological issues of like this mother, the resentment. You see sins of the people in the society. Even something like Nightmare on Elm Street, the family kills, I mean, the parents kill Freddy Krueger, and then he comes back. So you see this sins of a collective society in it. But I guess with the witch, it separates, and I could just be a literal twat here, but to me, the witch separates this cultural guilt or any kind of cultural sin and makes it something so otherly
Right.
that I don't think it follows through if that's the metaphor.
So you think the almost like the genre trappings don't mesh well with the metaphor the movie's kind of going for?
Yes, to the point where I think it almost ends up having to just be seen literally because I don't think it works. I mean, I'm trying to think. It's like, I guess you have to compare it to other movies. Like in Carrie, she is bullied by people at the school. So the societal issues, people being shitty, people being monsters,
Right.
is a big part of it. And a lot of horror movies deal with, like, I think if it's going to be elevated horror, or which is a shitty term, but if it's going to be horror that has cultural significance or psychological weight, I think you have to feel some like collective guilt or some like crime committed, and it's all separate.
So you wanted more backstory of almost these adults failing the kids.
If you're going to say it's about guns or school shootings, which people are, if you're going to say it's about that, then I would say the metaphor contradicts that, because the metaphor doesn't deal with how, like, yes, the kids are getting revenge on the witch. But what's the connection between that and the parents and the teacher? Everyone's kind of like, no one's really at fault in the society.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
And I think that hurts. They do a good enough job, I think, of like all the adults are like addicts, and they're all kind of like fucked up in varying ways. And like even Josh Brolin's character, his big thing is that he didn't say "I love you" to his kid, who ends up bullying the main kid, and then like I think there's.
But it's so to the periphery, to the point where it's like
yes.
Like, not like in Hereditary, her having tried to kill her kid when she was sleepwalking, or her like resenting her kid or having hatred, or him, like, that's not to the periphery. That's like almost at the core. So I'd say the psychological elements are pushed aside for like kind of just more of a literal story overtaking it.
Yeah, but I think sometimes there's a push and pull of like in maybe a perfect world that all hits 10 out of 10, and I think this one, it's like trying to be such a crowd pleaser.
Yes.
And I think it is, but I think then that hurts kind of making everything connect in under the seams a little bit.
Yes.
And I think I kind of agree with that, but I think it hits so hard as a crowd pleaser that I can forgive it, everything not aligning perfectly, because there's enough in there that I think to have a conversation about still.
Yes, but I guess for me it's like, well, yes, you can say it hits as a crowd pleaser, but then you would have to, in that sense, accuse it of somewhat pretensions of being something more. Because it's not just, like, Conjuring is just about, like, ghosts, right? I mean, or like, Conjuring isn't, like, it isn't about, like, a father. It isn't The Shining, right? I mean, it's a great movie. It has some of the best jump scares of any movie. But that's a non-elevated horror, right? And then you have something like Hereditary, where the horror is actually, like, secondary to the actual horror of their relationships and how alienated they are from each other, right? And that's the core of it. This movie tries to have its cake and eat it too a little.
Yeah, I think that's true.
It's kind of like I said, it pretends to be elevated, but doesn't follow through on that.
I just don't knock it that much for that. Like, I think that is a fair criticism. Like, I think its biggest fault is it doesn't hit its issues that it has on its mind.
Yes.
But I don't think that at the end of the day, it's still like, I still had a ton of fun with it, and I think there's enough in there that makes me like.
Definitely. And it's very fun. I guess for me, and I'm not trying to be like, like it didn't fall. I'm not trying to be like, I know that it sounds like I'm just like, well, they failed here and I don't know how to enjoy anything. I actually felt myself loving the first half and the mystery and the tension. And the minute she walks into the principal's office, the minute that Ronald McDonald's side character walks in, I felt, and I don't know, did you feel this at all? I felt the creepiness and the tension and the hauntingness of the movie deflate like air out of a ball. I just felt it deflate, and I felt the movie basically say, we're going to be a different movie now. We're going to be like a tongue-in-cheek Joe Dante horror movie.
See, I kind of got the opposite, because I thought she was so good. I almost think she gives almost like a Heath Ledger Joker type. Like, she's obviously in it, not that much.
Yeah.
But I just felt like she's so unsettling. And then when she gets like scary. She's so like kind of terrifying.
Okay.
That I just think she was so good in it that.
So that's interesting. I think that's because I'm trying to understand why other people weren't disappointed by the second half like me. And I think that gets to it. It's an aesthetic thing where like I didn't find her creepy. And I think if you do find her creepy, it still works maybe.
Yeah.
But I guess I found it very...
So many of her scenes I thought were so good when she gets to, what's his name, Benedict Wong, and when she comes over to his house, like that scene is so great when she's like, can I have some water? Put it in a bowl. I don't want to explain myself. I've been explaining it for you. Like, and then they just kind of watch her like they're like too scared to...
Yeah,
like,
I mean...
that scene's so good.
But there was such mystery to the movie, and it's all gone then. Like, and maybe there's no way it could have lived up to it. But I also think there's a truth that like sometimes it's easier to set up a great mystery than to have an answer.
Of course, yeah.
And there's what is haunting about the first half, I think, is this combination of, and this is really what I think is very haunting and really kind of brilliant about it. It's an old Pied Piper story, right? But it's in a modern setting where the surveillance cameras show the kids leaving.
Right.
So it almost creates this imagery of like our modern urban world can't protect our kids from some of the most oldest archaic like evil.
Yeah.
And that's a haunting. That's a very haunting like thing there.
Yeah.
And I think they don't explore that in the second half. I think the movie gets ADD and becomes a different movie.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does become, that not to harp on it, but it wants to be that crowd pleasing thing. And I think some of the ideas kind of it's
Get
not
lost.
as interested in.
Yeah, it's not because it doesn't like. I do think for the horror movies to have like a psychological effect, the humans themselves have to be the, not always the monsters, but there has to be a reflection of their issues. Their problems, and I don't think the movie really reflects on that much. I don't think you get the sense that Alex's parents are shitty or there's any alienation between them. I don't think you get this. I mean, I guess you have that scene where Josh Brolin's like, I didn't say I love you, but there's no weight to the relationship. You don't know the relationship, and you don't really, and that's what left me empty at the end. I really feel like a movie.
You do get a lot of sense. I mean, the main, I forget her name, was the main actress? But
Julia Garner?
You get the sense that she's a good teacher, but a lot of these, they're so fucked up, like all of them, that they can't you're like, well, their relationship with their kids probably can't be amazing. Like, Julia Garner obviously addicted to alcohol. You have the cop who's like, he's like a mess and he's addicted to sex and alcohol and is like you have the homeless person who's obviously addicted to drugs. Like,
but it's not. I don't think it's saying anything about those.
I
things.
think that's mostly true.
I mean, I've heard that he said that like every character, he was dealing with the grief of his.
Right.
Which, by the way, every movie needs to have a story behind it now that helps answer it. So he's like, well, I wrote it when my friend died, which I get. It's very sad, but I don't see the movie as like. I mean, yeah, it is exploring maybe those issues, but it gives up on those issues. Like, to me, it's like, at the end, even though it's fun, I was left a little empty. And I think the reason I was left empty is because for me, a movie has to ultimately be about relationships between characters. And I don't think by the end there was any relationship between any two characters I could really hold on to. You have a little of Julia Garner seeing Alex hugging her parents. And maybe you could say, like, even though she cares so much for the kids, at the end of the day, like, the parents are the ones that, maybe she's coming to terms with the fact that she's not a parent. They kind of say that in the beginning. But there's not much of a relationship between her and Alex in the movie for you to feel much there. I just don't think the movie's interested in characters in their way they relate to each other as much as just kind of like a fun story.
Well, I think we mostly agree. I just liked it a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we agree. We just have different like tones of how much. I liked it too. I think the first half was amazing. I'm actually just kind of disappointed. I felt like the first half was kind of like a tease because there was so much cool shit in there. There was so much creepiness. It went from creepiness to tongue-in-cheek horror, which doesn't like. I like when things stick with you afterwards.
It is funny to imagine you, though, watching, like, other horror movies and be like, a clown in the sewer? I thought it was going to be something, like they all kind of, devolve in a way to the trappings of the genre of like the
but
goofy big bad.
Yeah, but you also agree with what I'm saying a little.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, there must be there must be a lack of follow through here on some level, right? Like, yes, Rosemary's Baby there's a cult, right? A witches, right? But it's about a woman who has no agency, and it's about not being able to trust anyone in your life. That's what's at the core. What is at the core of this? A witch. That's what's at the core of this. Sorry, but that's what's at the core of this.
I do think the witch doesn't tie into the central metaphor
yes,
a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that I could see, being annoyed by that.
And I think people nowadays, they love this movie because they don't want to have to, they kind of want to just have a fun little story. And I think maybe they're I think people are also getting sick of elevated horror, which I understand. I think people are getting sick when the metaphor is too open. Right. Like, when I watched Talk to Me, did you see that?
Yes, I thought Talk to Me was great.
I thought it was good, but to me, it was a metaphor for, drugs and stuff. And I thought it felt so metaphorical. I don't know. Sometimes the metaphor
but
is
I don't think it kind of hits you with that too much, from my memory of it.
Well, I guess for me, and this is a whole other episode, but I guess for me, I felt like they were showing how, to me, it was just kind of it worked as a metaphor for kids being self-destructive, but it didn't work realistic in the film. They touch that hand and all these demons come out and they're terrifying, and then the kids are like, let's try it again. And I'm like, I didn't believe that they would want to try it again. And I thought that's where they were trying to make a drug metaphor, but the difference is drugs make you feel really good.
Yeah.
But this was terrifying. And then to the point where the premise ends up being really silly. It'd be these kids, when they let out all these demons, by touching a hand, eventually something goes wrong. It's just it didn't work. I didn't believe that they would keep doing it.
Okay.
I
remember loving that. That might be a post-COVID, maybe top horror movie for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I love when someone, either a premise or that hand idea is so visceral
it is
and
visceral,
unique,
yeah.
and it's just
I guess I wanted to see
Did you see Bring Her Back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
like that more? Or?
I thought there was a much better movie in there that they didn't explore. I think that movie would have been interesting if it was centered around the mother trying to get her kid back to life. Mm-hmm. That would have been the interesting movie. You know what I mean? But I think by having it just chose the wrong perspective. By having it about the kids, it just didn't. I don't know the emotional complexity of what's going on. It would have been much more haunting if it stayed with a mother whose daughter died and then she's trying to bring back the daughter. To me, that's a gripping story. Mm. But they just push the mother off as kind of a villain off to the side. And so it ends up being more of running away from a mother as opposed to dealing with this,
right? The
haunting psychology of wanting the horrible things you do to bring back your child,
Okay.
Which is kind of almost like the Frankenstein story. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been interesting to show it as a do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
As opposed to to me, it felt like kids hanging out in Frankenstein's castle and finding out he did something crazy. It's no, I want to see it from Frankenstein's perspective. And I know I'm well, this one's too metaphorical. This one's too literal. Mm-hmm. I know it's hard to please me, but I do think when it works, it does work. I do think the metaphor, in Carrie, works. You know what I mean? And Rosemary's Baby and The Shining. I do think there's a literal story, and then there's the stuff about society in it that is perfectly
and when you want a witch, you want it to be like the movie The Witch, where the metaphor makes sense because it's,
Right. Well, it would be crazy for me to be disappointed by a witch showing up in The Witch. This is about a witch? I didn't watch a movie called The Witch for it to just be about a witch. I think witches, if you don't set that up right away, it's a hard thing to just be in the middle.
You're anti-witch.
But look, I still think the movie's fun. I just think the second half got boring to me.
Okay.
And then it kind of came back at the end in a fun way. But nothing resonating with you. And I guess this is the difference between, you talk about instant gratification. I think instant gratification is great, but I like when a movie sticks with me, and I don't feel like that movie had anything that stuck with me.
Okay.
And I think if it would have followed through on some of that initial stuff, that initial haunting imagery, if that imagery was connected to a deeper problem in society, not just this outer witch thing, I think it would have stuck with me in a way.
All right. I'll give him a note.
I know, it's all so pointless. I'm like, this movie that made $400 billion, I just don't think it works.
Do you ever think, sometimes I think of like, on a pod talking about movies, I watch a lot of movies, right? I think about movies a lot. And even in my mind, I'm like, am I even qualified to be saying any of this?
Yeah.
But like there are like, comics will be like, I'm going to release my Ukraine special. I'm like, you don't know. I'm like, you're the dumbest person I've ever met. And you're just like, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know if I can't talk about Ari Aster. I don't know anything, but
no,
like.
Of course. I mean, like, it's all bullshit. And like, obviously, like, the guy did, I mean, I don't know. I'm torn. Like, on one hand, it's very stupid for me to say things like, the ending of Get Out doesn't work when it's like, but it's like the most popular, iconic movie, It's like when you hear open micers being like, I think Bill Hicks is overrated or something. It's like, you fucking work at the Pair. You suck. Fuck you. But I also believe in criticism in the sense of like.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's so weird because I have both thoughts in my brain.
Yeah, on one hand, it's insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this movie's awesome and all this shit. I would have and it did well. But on the other hand, I also think it's silly to be like, oh, you didn't like that? Make something better. No, you don't know how criticism works. Like, you can't. Yeah. We should never talk about anything. But I do think it's interesting to see what, like, and I do come from a place, I'm not trying to be a dick. Like, these are feelings I have of like, oh, I felt the creepiness deflating. I felt myself bored. And then I think good criticism, it has nothing to do with being right or wrong, but it has to do with like being able to articulate why you viscerally felt something.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to articulate why I felt a little boredom once that shit came up. Because I'm trying to intellectually understand it. I think for me, it's that the metaphor and the story don't really, they don't align in a way that is resonating. It's still a fun movie, but it made me think it would be more than that.
Okay.
And I felt teased. All right. Anything else you want to say about Weapons?
No. I think I'm good.
All right. Let's talk about a movie that had the opposite feeling of. A movie. Now, I'll just say this straight up. I saw Edington. Mm-hmm. I love Ari Aster. He's like kind of like a... I don't know. Like, he's like a hero of mine. I just love him.
He's a hero of yours?
I just love him.
He's already he's a hero.
It's like my age. Yeah. I just love him. I just love hearing him. He's just so... Have you listened to, like, interviews?
No, I have not.
He's so unassuming, and he just knows he just has seen every movie ever, and he's just thoughtful, and I like his movies.
Okay.
And I like how daring he is. But I had, like... My journey with Edington was kind of like a very... complex emotional journey. So I like him. What?
Hit us.
I like him so much. I was actually worried. I was like, this movie needs to be good. So I'm worried
he's
for
like a friend of yours.
Yeah. I'm worried for this guy who's one of the most successful filmmakers who's gonna be fine. Mm-hmm. I was worried. I'm like, I hope this movie's good. I think before it came out, I had a dream that I saw him and he was upset that the movie didn't do well. Because I'm like, oh, they're not going to give him a third blank check. If the movie...
You did the classic thing, like the lighting was really good. Yeah. I like that you went for it. That was good.
Exactly. So that was my first feeling. Like, I'm worried. I really want the movie to be good. Mm. It was very parasocial. It was very like...
If you could be friends with any like current movie person, you think you would pick Ari Aster?
I feel like I already am friends with him. Yeah.
I think that might be a problem.
Yeah, I know. No, I think I just relate to him. He's just like a short little Jewish dude. Okay. He's just like, it's really fun. He doesn't have a man's body, kind of like me. Like, he's like, how certain like men like look like men. Mm-hmm. He just kind of, well, now I'm never gonna be friends with him if he hears this. He just looks like a child, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I even have that sometimes, like, and this is like even maybe crazier, but like Andrew Garfield, he has like a long neck.
Yeah.
And I go, long neck. That's me and him, we're kind of like the same. I bet we'd be friends.
If you want to be friends with him, don't go up to him and be like, hey, me and you.
Necks are kind of weird, huh?
No, but that's the thing. Yeah, long neck, short Jew. I'm just like, you start feeling like connected. And I just love his movies. I love
representation matters.
Representation matters. I love his directing. I think he's great. And so I was really worried. It was too much.
So before this, 3 for 3 with you?
No. I think Hereditary is great. I've battled with the second half. When I saw it in theaters, I didn't like the second half. I thought it just kind of went. At the time, I thought it went crazy, and like I felt like this. I don't know. It was too like I thought the first half was so good. I've come to terms that I love both. I think Midsommar is perfect the whole way through.
Okay.
I think Beau is Afraid is a noble failure.
Okay.
With some great parts.
Okay.
But a noble failure.
That's kind of how I feel about Edington.
That's how. So I watch it. I'm nervous. I'm like, it's got to be good. Otherwise, Ari's in trouble. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I watch it. And I'm liking it. I'm feeling a little like, oh, there's no metaphor here. It's just the problem, you know? Like, it's just like, it's very literal. And there's a part of me that thinks that's like exciting. There's another part that's like, this is just about the thing it's about. You know what I mean? It just felt like almost
surface level.
Yeah, or just like a lack of imagination. That you're just, instead of finding a story that expresses these feelings.
Right.
You just tell the actual story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I felt a mixture, but I also felt like it was really funny. And then in the second half,
What do you think's funnier, Weapons or Edington?
Edington, 100%.
Okay, I think Weapons is probably funnier.
That's insane. But in the second half, when he kills the father and the son, I was like, this is terrible. They don't set that up at all. He's a sociopath. If he's a sociopath, the social commentary goes out the window because he's a sociopath. What does it matter how social media affects him if he's just going to kill he's just going to kill a family, you know? And then I thought it went insane. And then I thought he just threw away the script. He wrote this interesting first half, and he threw it away for insanity. And I just thought it was like lazy. It pissed me off. It threw in this Deus Ex Machina of the explosion at the end with Antifa. It's like anyone can write just the whole world exploding. You know what I mean? I thought it was really upsetting that he would throw that second half, like, just, you know, I think with a movie, you build these things and you explore them in the second half. And similar to Weapons, I feel like he threw away the second half just to do crazy shit.
Okay.
And then it kind of stuck with me. I kept on thinking about it. And now I've seen it 2 more times, and I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made.
What a twist! I can't wait for you to say the same thing about Weapons.
Yeah, I know.
Wow,
that's how I feel. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel it is one of
your best movie of the year so far, I would say, for you.
Best movie of the decade.
Wow. So your favorite Ari Aster?
I mean, it's such a tough thing because it's like there is stuff in it that's unpleasant, like anti-escapism, where you're like, oh, this is almost
It's almost the anti-Weapons because it's not really fun to watch. There are some funny parts, I'll grant you, but it's not like the best watch.
It's painful in a way. And what it does is, like, obviously the idea that, like, we're all on our phones and not communicating is not, like, the most original idea. But it viscerally shows you what we've all been going through in a visceral way. And I actually think it's, like, watching it more, I actually, like, it actually is very entertaining and actually moves, like, pretty incredibly. It actually is, like, has an amazing flow. But I guess I just, like, it all, I don't know, it came together for me.
So my thinking is, so Beau is Afraid seemed to be him being like, what if all of your anxieties were real?
Yes.
Right? And this is almost like, what if every thing that happened during COVID, all the conspiracy theories were real, kind of. It's kind of like an overarching, it almost seems like that's where he started the idea from. You know,
you mean because of the Antifa being real?
Yeah, but even just all the other things of like, you know, like the making up the thing about the rape allegations, the black cop who's they set him up.
Right.
It's kind of like takes all these things that were going on to like heightened conclusions.
Yeah.
But to me, it's almost like the opposite weapons. I'm like, that idea, you could see a filmmaker like having a lot of fun with that idea. And it's just like, it's tough to get. Eddington is tougher to get through than it should be.
Yes.
With kind of the idea of like Antifa being real and coming to a town and doing a shootout. Like there's so many of things like that are kind of fun. Like Austin Butler being like kind of like a psycho new wave type. Like there's so many kind of like fun ideas that are taken so seriously that kind of like it. And it's such a long movie.
Yes.
It's not the easiest to watch.
This is how I felt the first time. Watching it the second time, it's actually hilarious. Like, it's...
That's what people say about my specials. You gotta watch it a second time, because the jokes will really
You're really screwed if it's a comedy special needs to be watched like 5 times to find it funny. I mean, it is very... I mean, here's the thing about Ari Aster. His humor is so dark...
Yes.
That it's like hard to even realize it's humor. But like it is humor. Like even in Midsommar, the whole opening, even though it's terrifying, it is kind of a joke. I mean, she's basically like, it's the joke of all things being even worse than you imagine. Like she's literally worried that her sister's like crazy and the boyfriend's like, you're overreacting. And he's trying to think of how do I get out of this relationship. Right. And then you find out the sister murdered her family. And it's like there's a joke to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's also really fucked up.
But it's so dark and so like nihilistic at times that I don't always like.
In Midsommar or?
I think in general, but especially in Edington. There's like a kind of a nihilism and a darkness that it's tough for me to personally to like click into.
Well, let's talk about the 2 big turns in it. I feel like, because it's so much to process. Like it is so much to much like life. It is so much to process. But the first half is, you have to admit, is a good satire, where you have like kind of like.
Yeah, I think it's all right. I think the first half's all right, but like you said, it's a little too like
on the nose.
Yeah, and just kind of like a lot of this is what happened, but also like gilds the lily a lot, and like there's one black guy who's had, there's COVID precautions, but there's no COVID in this town yet. So it's like all the precautions seem silly because nothing's really happened yet. Like it just kind of, it's fine, but it just doesn't really, it doesn't do much for me.
But see,
the young kids are annoying. But you know, like it's.
But I don't see any real like ideology about like like I don't see like it's making a point about.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think what it really is like there's so much ideology, and ideology has overtaken art, where people just talk about the ideology behind it.
Yeah,
I think this is like an artist trying to diagnose the problems with ourselves that aren't ideological. It shows how ideology separates people. But I think it's like an artist really trying to diagnose what's going on with each other outside of the ideological framework.
Okay.
Which is something we don't see as much because everything is so ideological. Even the way people talk about this movie, they talk about it like, is it politically center? Is it left?
Yeah, I actually think it does a pretty good job of not even just that bullshit of like, it takes jokes at everyone, but kind of being not just about that. Because that's the fear. You see this movie and it's going to be like a bad episode of South Park, and I love the South Park guys, but just kind of the thing of like, oh, both sides are crazy, and like it does that a little, but I was very thankful for when the turn happened that I'm like, okay, now we're kind of going somewhere more interesting,
right? Yes, and it's deeper than, it's not both sides. It's a very whether you have issues or not, it's very misread because everything is, so much of ideology has taken over art to the point where like we forget that things can be about psychological complexity that's not about ideology. And even the way people misread this movie, a lot of people do say, oh, it's just both sidesism. It's not both sidesism at all. That's a misread. It's trying to...
that's generally true. I just think my fear in the first half was that there's a little bit of that, and it takes a while for it to kind of go somewhere different and interesting.
Well, I
just think it gets there.
Yeah, I think it's... I mean, I think it's showing how alienated we are from each other, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that's its main focus.
Yes.
that these people who are needing primal wants and desires, it's all those primal wants and desires, whether it's being close to your wife or having a kid or anything, any of these emotional fulfillments are being replaced with this social media driven, like, how do I feel important in this landscape?
And I think there's a lot of, in a way that I don't always agree with, but is obviously present in the real world, of like, everyone in that movie is so self-serving. Like, they're doing things almost purely for those wants and needs, and like don't give a shit about the thing they're really they're give a shit about.
Yes, it's all ego-driven. Everyone, and that is the satire part. It is all ego.
Right.
Similar to like maybe like Election. Obviously, Election's not nearly as like brutal, you know, but like it's all, there's no real altruism, right? But there is, I mean, I think there is this sense of like, when you have people in their own little universe, each person, they get more and more detached from each other. And I think the brilliance of the setup is that there is the art to the fact that they make it an actual small town. So that visually, and that's where it's like you think, oh, this is just telling a story we've heard. But there's actually a visual component that's really fascinating, that by having it be a small town, by having social media affect everyone in the small town, you see visually the destruction of a community that is what we were kind of adapted to live in. And you see the whole world through social media separating these people in a small town. And that contrast allows you to visually see the disintegration of communal values. And I think that is an interesting aspect to it, the small town quality, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the thing I had trouble the first time is him killing the father and son. I was like, what's the setup for that? But then I watched it again and I realized, oh, he's like so deeply humiliated in every single moment that like I never like the humiliation does push you to that. And I realized, I think one of the reasons I was upset the first time I watched it is I was expecting it to be a movie where they both fight each other, right? And then it slowly builds to an explosive violence at the end. That's the movie I wanted. And it went against that expectation. It's like, let's put the violence in the middle. Let's actually make it more calculated than he thought it would be. And then have him deal with trying to get out of it, which is painful. But...
Well, and I definitely think, like, I actually think this movie is less, you know, you're talking about people saying, oh, the, you know, both sides are bad. But this movie's pretty, like, again, the movie's arguing against doing this. So I almost hate saying this, but the movie is pretty progressive in the sense that, like, the left people are annoying in the pocket of, like, big business.
Yes.
And the main sheriff is, like, making up rape allegations, murdering people, like having COVID and not caring and running around. Like it's pretty, I think, obviously not to both sidesism anyway, even though the movie's kind of arguing to not take it on that kind of left-right binary anyway.
I mean, you could say maybe the premise is liberals are really annoying and right-wing people are psychopath, violent psychopaths. But like, I mean, I think the premise also is like, which is kind of a pretty accurate diagnosis of the world, is that social media has made everyone fall into conspiracy theories, and yet they ignore the actual real conspiracy, which is social media destroying everyone's minds. So
and even just, you know, whoever runs the data center, just kind of like generally like big business, you know, them being the real enemies and not giving a shit about us. But I, like a weapons thing, I wish there was more of that. Like, that is so in the background.
But I think it's deliberately in the background.
Yes, it is there, but the movie's fucking 3 hours, and that takes up like 2 minutes. And you're like, give me a little bit more of that. Because there are going to be so many people walking out of this movie that don't get it, don't see that. Like, and that doesn't necessarily make the movie worse, but I wish there was more of that kind of in there.
But it does, I mean, like, this is like, but it does kind of express how the main problem is in the periphery. That obviously people say social media is the problem, but even that is just on equal level with Joe Biden's pedophile vampire. It's drowned out by all the other things, when that is the overarching problem, that social media is kind of like, is alienating each other from everything and putting us all in a different reality, right? Where we start creating our own like fictions, right? but the data center is the thing that's the actual like enemy.
Yeah.
So I think it being in the periphery is, I don't know. I think that does work for me. I guess for me, what you see in this movie is like people become so detached they don't even seem like human beings at the end. To the point where it just becomes a video game. Yeah. Because we're becoming so detached.
I mean, it's literally like shot like a video game, like a Call of Duty type.
And I think there's something really powerful about that. Once again, it's not like an original statement, but the visceral way it allows you to feel this thing that I guess we already feel, but maybe we do. I know it seems like we're aware of how horrible it is, but maybe we're not fully aware. I guess that's what the movie did to me. It's like, I think it made me uncomfortable in a way where I started to examine what that was. And like, when you look at him and Emma Stone, they don't communicate hardly at all. Right. They literally communicate through the videos they post.
Yeah.
So and there's an amazing shot where you show him running for mayor, and it's the camera in the car, and he's having his speech about running for mayor, and then it's just the camera filming him, and then it just cuts to that footage on a computer, and you see Emma Stone's reflection in the computer. So you're seeing him posting a video, and then her watching him post a video, and then she eventually posts a video, and he watches her post a video, and you're literally seeing people move farther and farther away from each other. And there's like a very terrifying thing there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I guess it's like, I mean, did any of that resonate for you? Or
I did. Like I said, I appreciate the movie. I just almost like, I wish it was a little, I think there are directors for me that make that a little bit more funny, a little bit more punchier, a little bit shorter, a little bit like Ari Aster is just not like I liked Beau is Afraid the first third I love.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I generally I appreciate that movie, much like I appreciate this, but it's not, I just don't always click into how he goes about things.
Well, yeah.
And
I mean,
it's so it's just not like my bag, but I didn't dislike the movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like it's a tough sit, and it's I think there's a lot there.
You gotta watch it 2 more times. I'm serious.
Spoiler alert, I'm not gonna watch it 2 more times. I hate to break it to you.
I just think it also visually shows how much we're overstimulated by everything in a way that the aesthetic of the movie. It's actually the first movie I've seen where it allows social media to change the aesthetic of filmmaking, which I thought was interesting. So much of it is people on their phone. It's the first movie I've seen where they really incorporate how much we use our phone in every aspect of life, on an aesthetic level. It's so much of that. Yeah. And I thought that I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, I can see that.
And to the point, and I don't know, watching again, it's just his sense of humiliation, him not being able to communicate to her, and his sense of humiliation, and then him feeling like he's such an impotent sheriff.
Yeah.
And it's actually very funny when what? Yeah.
Well, it's funny to even start because you go this guy shouldn't even be sheriff.
No.
He's already a bad sheriff, and then he starts running for office from the sheriff's office, which has to be illegal. So already you're just this can't go anywhere good.
Right.
This guy's already dumb and incompetent from the get-go.
Right. But you gotta admit that is a great character. I don't know. I think
yeah. I mean, yeah.
And I think what breaking out of ideology when he films himself and he goes, "We need to open our hearts." Mm-hmm. That's Ari Aster being able to actually personalize a right-wing guy.
Right, yeah.
And which you don't see in movies. You don't realize this right-wing anti-COVID guy, from his perspective, he's
just wants to fuck his wife
and open, and he wants a community, and he wants obviously there's really just him losing power and him being this kind of old school, outdated, masculine figure that's lost all power. But you see it from his perspective without to write the line, "We need to open our hearts."
Right.
That's the first step to breaking free of the ideology that paints, has destroyed so much art.
You see, even again, not a original point, but pre-social media, it was easier to even just have conversations with people you super disagree with, just because you see it in Emma Stone's character, who her mom was the crazy one, and then was eventually no, you got to see this, you got to see, you got to see this, and eventually it can't help but twist your brain. Like, a
yes,
little bit.
the mother is just talking to her over. The mother's hilarious. She's just in her own world talking the entire. No one's talking to her.
Yeah.
It's actually really. The second time it was much funnier. She is literally just like responding to questions that aren't asked and just talking. And these are people we have just like, even Emma Stone, the mother. These are all people we like have been told to like hate as like the enemy. They're anti-COVID conspiracy theory freaks. But you're like, oh, yeah, of course. Half of them have been molested. Like, half of these conspiracy theorists are, like, molested and trying to, like, create a narrative to, like, deal with it. You know what I mean? And so she was molested by the father, right? And then the mother's in denial of that and just latches on to every other conspiracy theory to distract from that. So it's like, I don't know. I think there's something brilliant in that. Like...
to me, the funniest part was the kid who tries to get laid being like this super progressive guy and then just ends up being a right-wing grifter. It's like, that is like, very funny.
What about the part where he's talking about whiteness to the father and the father just goes, he's like, whiteness is something we got to eradicate. The way the father goes, are you fucking retarded?
Yeah.
You're white? That is, I know we like laugh at that, but that is a great point that we've just forgotten. Like every time a white kid is like talking about white, he's like, you are that. Like it's insane. Cause that's the joke. It's like white people talk about like as if they're if they complain about it, they can extricate themselves from whiteness, you know? But I thought the whole movie was funny. And I think I don't want to go too long. I know. Oh, 3, it's not that bad.
What were we at?
309. Is that okay?
I'm good for whatever.
Yeah. I think the sense of humiliation he feels and how that builds up to that part where the Katy Perry song, which is an amazing scene.
Yeah.
And when he slaps him, the man really has nothing left at that point.
Yeah.
And that's why, and then he kills the homeless guy, which no one cares about in the whole.
Yes, exactly.
Which is very funny.
Left, right, no one cares about
No one cares
guy.
about that guy. He kills him, and then when he does the calculated killings, it's like, to me, even though it's very painful to watch, I think the first time I watched it, I was so repulsed that he did that. It was hard for me to like keep on watching.
Yeah.
Like it was just like such a hard, like he kills a kid. But now I watch it and I'm like, I see it as like, it isn't just that he's a sociopath. I mean, he is obviously a fucked up person, but I see this like culture alienating us so much to the point where we're all trying to fight to see who's a better person and who's more of a man. And like Ted Garcia and him are having this fight about who's like, where he's left with nothing. And so it's like, it actually makes sense that he would do that. Because we're not seeing these people as like real anymore.
And like I also thought was great, but also, God, so dark. The Native American detective
getting blown away,
who's just like one of the only competent people, like doing a great job, and like just casually blown away. Yeah.
Dude, the movie, I know the first watch is tough. It is so funny the second watch. I think you like can appreciate it more. Him killing them and then immediately the Native American like going on the territory is so funny. There's so much funny shit in this movie. The deputy saying like Blacks Lives Matter instead of Black Lives. He just said the word black so much that he thinks it's Blacks Lives Matter. And the girl is fucking perfect. I don't know. It is. I don't know. It really stuck with me. And I think the Antifa thing, I've read this theory and I think it's true. I think they're paid by the corporate elites.
In the movie to yes, I think that's
so. I don't think it's just like Antifa's real.
Yes,
I think it's the corporate elites because it's right after the mayor gets killed. You now have this other guy going to be sheriff who's actually going to oppose the data center. So I think the corporate elites paid those people to kill the sheriff so they could have the data center running.
Right.
And even though they fail, it still works out for them in the end, right? Yes. And to me, it gets. If you look at it that way, I think the ending of the movie gets to something very, very fascinating. The last two shots, which is at the very end of the movie. You know how he's paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
And you see the black cop filming him. Do you remember that part?
Yes.
He's filming and then he's zooming in, and then like you're not allowed to film here. And then later you see him at target practice. It's the second to last shot of the movie, right? I think what the movie's trying to say is that guy's going to kill Joaquin Phoenix.
Which I mean, he's probably hoping for.
Exactly.
The worst endings I've ever seen for a character.
Exactly. One of the worst endings ever. He becomes the thing he's been fighting against. He becomes the physical manifestation of the paralysis he's always been in. And now he's just watching things through a screen, right? Yeah. And this guy, because this is the kind of Western vibe of the movie, this cop is going to kill him because he wants revenge for being set up, right? But in his head, it's this grand revenge. But really, he's just killing a paralyzed guy.
Right.
And then the next shot, you see the data center. And I think those two shots connected, him shooting was target practice, and then cutting to the data center gets to the heart of the movie, which is that we're all concerned with these beefs with each other that are so pointless to the point where he's literally killing a guy who wants to die.
Right.
And we're ignoring the main thing that's treating us like puppets.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fascinating, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's like an accurate take.
Yeah.
I think we're puppets to
it.
this like social media corporate world. And it's gotten us to fight these like personal beefs through like altruistic language, you know?
Yeah. I get it.
Am I talking too much? I feel like I'm talking
No,
too much.
I just it's tough to, it's almost like your thing with the weapons and the witch, where they're like, I can't necessarily, I started off like you, being like, I don't know if I like this. It's a long, tough watch, and I grew to appreciate it, but I don't know that I'm like, I enjoy it, but I don't need to, it just doesn't really like click with me.
On your fifth watch of it, I really...
Like, there are movies, you know, like where you see, you know, my ideal is that like it works, and then it's also so rich that you could dive in. Like, that's why I love Coen Brothers so much. Like, No Country and Inside Llewyn Davis that I see, I love.
Entertaining and resonates.
And then I go like, wow, there's like a lot here that I can like sink in. And it's just like, it's just a long, tough watch for me.
I think there are certain movies, maybe it's from the Kubrick school, where when you watch it, you don't even like it. And then it sticks with you, and then you watch it again, and you realize, I don't know, I mean, there's different types of movies, you know? And I agree, like, a movie should work. You shouldn't leave a movie going, that sucked. Like, that's a bad sign.
It's tough, yeah. Bad sign.
And I definitely left Edington going, that fucking sucked. But, I don't know, it stuck with me so much, and his paralysis at the end really stuck with me. Like, that is so upsetting.
Which is pretty rare. Are there many movies that you go and you're like, I don't like that, and it really warms you over time? I feel like it's pretty rare.
It's rare. It's been a couple times.
Yeah.
It's rare, and I think it's usually when a movie like...
Let's go through them. How to Train Your Dragon.
There's movies that I thought would do that for me. Like, I didn't like Tar, and I didn't like Killers of the Flower Moon, and I really thought I was I thought maybe if I watch them again, I'd like... But then I was like, no, they still don't work for me. I will say with Edington, though, I did really find it really funny. I was just upset by, like, a choice they made in the movie.
Okay.
But then when I was able to process that choice...
easier to correct.
Yeah. When I was able to process that choice, and it really does make sense him killing, and also killing the kid when he can't have a kid, or he wants to have a kid with his wife, killing the kid who's also been a shit to him the whole time. And watching it a couple times, it's also like an Altman movie where you see people's relationships, and there's a lot you don't pick up on the first time. I'm really like a lot of different stuff that's kind of pretty fascinating about each one's relationship with each other.
Well, I think your best friend Ari Aster is gonna really appreciate this conversation and all the goodwill you're putting out there for him.
If you didn't like it, watch it 12 more times. Because I really do think, now I think it's incredible. I think it visualizes so much power dynamics in it. That amazing shot of him when he's waiting in the to go to the supermarket in the beginning, and he's standing over that giant sign of Ted Garcia. It's just like a little man under it. Like, there's so many great, it is so visual. You got to admit, like, it is visually stunning. And the way it aesthetically becomes like a first-person shooter at the end. Yeah. And it becomes the kind of action movie that Joaquin Phoenix's character wants to be in. Yes, it's like upsetting because you're detached, you know, and you don't want to be detached. But I think that detachment gets to the heart of something, you know. that we've all become detached. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, I feel like I talk too much.
No,
I'm sorry. I drink this and I fucking.
How many of those do you drink? You drink one a day?
Just one, yeah. I don't usually drink it, but I drank it before this, and it's made me a madman. Have I been like a talking monster?
No, I don't think so. But that's, I think that would kill me.
Yeah, it's not a great idea. But I've only had. I'm not gonna have any more. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like pointless. It's like you love Weapons, I love Eddington, and we're both like, but
I think we both are okay with the other two movies.
Yes.
Like.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think we both almost kind of agree with each other. It's just a different level of like enjoyment.
And sometimes it's just different like tastes. You could be like, that steak's good, but I'm just not a steak person.
Right.
You know, like I get a lot of the Edington points, but it's just not like my bag. You know?
Did it stick with you at all, though? I'm curious.
I think so.
More so than Weapons?
No, I like Weapons.
Okay. Like Weapons stuck with you?
I think Weapons. I mean, Weapons I've seen more recent.
Yeah.
But
I felt Weapons evaporated for me after I watched it, but I do think it was
like the gun over the house.
Yeah, exactly. That was like almost like this is what it's about, or is it?
Almost like, man, I didn't hit this metaphor. We got to throw something in. I got to throw a little something in here.
I just think even if you don't like Eddington, I do think there's a lot of thoughtfulness in the movie and calculation.
Yes.
And it's not, even though it might seem like it's just going crazy, the movie, which is what I thought, like, oh, is he just throwing in a bunch of shit? I do think, and this is from hearing him in interviews, he is so thoughtful. Like, I do think he does think about these choices and what they're trying to say, you know? And he does risk people not enjoying parts to have them kind of like,
yes, which is
to have them stick with it,
yeah,
you know?
which is, there's like a, for lack of a better word, like a braveness to that.
He's one of the most brave filmmakers out there. I mean, he's literally like.
But I do think like A Beau is Afraid is a movie I think I would have loved if it was an hour shorter.
Yeah, Beau is
and I'm sure its length is part of it, you know, but like there's just a little, I don't know. For me, it's a little too much, a little too like nihilistic, a little too all over the place, and I get it. And it doesn't not work, but it's just not my bag.
Beau is Afraid is kind of like a comedy set that does really bad at the ending, and then you're like, you think the whole show is bad. There's a lot of great stuff in the beginning. It goes so too long, and it gets to a point where you just think it's going on and on and on. And like, I think because it's so surreal too, the stuff doesn't have weight.
Right.
I think the difference with this is the things happen in it are real.
Yes.
In Edington, and so they are like, it's not just like kind of this. It's tough to make a surreal world be that long, but in like Edington, like there is real people having real consequences, even if they start treating stuff like it's not real, and that makes it like have an effect to me, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of Beau is Afraid, you're like, what is actually happening?
I don't know. I think Edington needed a giant penis monster. That would have helped for me.
But yeah, I don't know. I love it, and watching again, I think it's actually very well structured and like actually like kind of entertaining the whole way through. I just think it was just a lot to process the first time.
I get it.
But anyway, well, this was a good talk.
Good talk.
Yeah. Do you have any plugs?
I have a special on YouTube. Check that out.
Oh yeah, check it out. He's such one of the funniest people.
Oh, come on. And then another one coming out in about 2 months or so. And follow me on Instagram. I have no followers. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, you really gotta
It's
follow
really
him.
bad.
Yeah.
One time about a year ago, someone at the cellar, someone came out, they saw me, they're like, dude, you're so funny, I got to follow you on Instagram. He goes to follow me, he goes, not a lot of followers. I was like, hey, man.
I remember you had like a clip go really viral at Sesh.
I did, yeah.
And I remember looking at it and going like, oh, I hope that helped his followers. And then I looked at your follower count, and it was like -14. It was below.
Well, it went viral on TikTok, and I created an account, but I wasn't like, they like tagged me in it in the comments, and it was just like, it didn't do much. But it was seen by like 10 million people, but like,
yeah, I mean, you're really funny, and yeah, I mean, but yeah, I don't know, followers, I don't know, you know, it's
I know.
Maybe if you're as hot as me physically, you'd have more followers.
Every day I'm trying. Put in the comments. Who would you rather fuck, me or Raanan? We'll do a nice vote.
Well, you're a great comic and really great stuff. Always love watching you. So check him out. Check out his specials. He's hilarious.
And sorry if this is the least viewed episode.
No. I actually think it'll be viewed quite a bit because it's current movies. You know,
all right.
I'm sure if we picked whatever fucking favorite movie, it might not have. You know, but. And with me, check me out. I'm going to be in Baltimore this weekend. Ooh. And next weekend, I'm going to be in Boston. Weekend after that, I'm going to be in Grand Rapids. You can get tickets now at punchup.live/Raanan/tickets. Also, follow my Substack. I got a lot of new stories on there. It's all the link in my Instagram. And thanks so much for watching. Cut.
Raanan is fat and he's a Jew. He'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.